What is going on, guys? Thanks for checking out this video on my sports Gematria. In this video, I'm going to go over some basketball games for Monday, March 14th, 2022. I'm going to show you highlights of each side, and it's going to be up to you to determine who you think will win based on the numbers. I encourage you to add additional information on top of this if needed for you to feel confident in your own pick. And I wish you guys the best of luck on all your picks today. Let's go ahead and get to the games. We're going to be looking at the Clippers and the Cavs, I believe. Yeah, Clippers and Cavs, Nuggets and Sixers, Timberwolves and the Spurs, and then lastly, Bucks versus the Jazz. So those are the 4 games I'm going to be looking at in this video. On this side of the screen is what I call my daily numbers, date numerology, Gregorian Hebrew calendar. And then on this side of the screen is what I call my game numbers specific to the game. The way that I have it structured here is I have the road team, the away team up top, their coach's record, their season record, their road record, any other notes I want to add. In the middle is the head-to-head record between the two teams, all-time, regular season, and this season in particular. And then at the bottom is the home team, their season record, their home record, their coach's record, and any other notes that I want to add. So let's go ahead and get started with the Cavaliers and the Clippers. Bring up a bigger screen here. Clippers and the Cavs. All right, so we're going to start with the home team. What would it look like for the home team to win this game? So if Cavaliers were going to win this game, one thing that I think is kind of funny if it plays out is that if the Cavaliers win this game, their coach would get his 151st win regular season for his career. And this is the 151st game regular season as a coach specifically for the Cavs, which I thought was kind of funny. What makes it even more funnier is that this is the 143rd regular season game as a coach for the Clippers, coach, and he can get his 143rd loss regular season for his career. So both coaches can initially basically do the same thing. In his 151st game as a coach for Cavs, he can get his 151st regular season win overall. In his 143rd game as a Clipper, he can get his 143rd loss regular season overall. I thought that was kind of strange, interesting, and quirky if it happens. There's a good possibility it could, because Cavs, on top of that, could get their 39th win for the season, as Clippers get their 35th loss for the season. Today does have 39 date numerology on the Gregorian, and both 39 and 35 are identical in all 4 base ciphers. On top of that, Cavaliers would get their 21st home win, as Clippers get their 21st road loss. Today is the 73rd day of the Gregorian, the 21st prime number, but also the number 21 written out sums to 39. And that's basically what I would point to for the Cavaliers to win this game. They would sweep the Clippers 2-0 like 20 head-to-head. So it could be a sweep. If not, though, Clippers could be looking for some revenge here. Even the score 1-1 head-to-head against the Cavs, if that was going to happen, some numbers that can point to the direction would be Clippers picking up their 59th all-time head-to-head win against the Cavaliers, as Clippers coach sits on 59 regular season losses as a coach for Cavaliers. Today does have 59 date numerology on the Gregorian. Today has 39 date numerology on the Gregorian. 39 written out sums to 142. Clippers coach can sit on 142 regular season losses as a coach in his career with a win. And this is the Clippers' 37th away game for the season. They can go ahead and just get their 37th win for the season to tack on top of that. The Cavaliers would get their 30th loss for the season. And the number 30 sums to 37. And 37 is the 12th prime number, and they would get their 30th loss as they get their 12th home loss. Clippers 37th away game, the 12th prime, as they get their 37th win. And so those would be some numbers that I would contribute for the Clippers to win this game. And so you kind of see both sides there. One more thing to add to the Clippers side would be their coach getting his 212th regular season win, as Cavaliers become 20-12 at home, which kind of looks like a 2-1-2. So you have this interesting 151 connection and 143 connection for the coaches in favor for the Cavs. And then, of course, you can make some numbers for the Clippers to win the game as well. Let's go ahead and move on to the Nuggets and the Sixers. We'll start with the home team, the Sixers, of course. If the Sixers were going to win this game, I'd probably focus on the number 20. What I mean by that is Sixers can get their 20th home win as they sweep the Nuggets 2-0 like 20 head-to-head for this season, as Nuggets sit on 20 road wins with a loss. And Sixers, they can go ahead and get their 53rd all-time head-to-head win against the Nuggets. Today does have 23 date numerology on the Gregorian. 23 does sum to 53. 53 is the 16th prime number, and Nuggets would become 2016 on the road with the loss. Sitting on that 20. Sixers sweep 2-0. They get their 20th home win. They get their 53rd all-time head-to-head win, the 16th prime number. Nuggets get that 16th road loss to go with. 23 sums to 134 and 53. As Sixers get that 53rd win, Sixers coach can get his 1,034th regular season win for his career. 1,034 has one more zero than the number 134. So they're very similar in numbers. The only difference is the number 0 within it. It is 39 date numerology on the Gregorian. 39 sums to 142. Sixers can get their 42nd win for the season. 42 sums to 142 as well. And so those would be some numbers I would look towards for the Sixers to win this game. If the Nuggets were going to win this game, it could just be a revenge narrative. You know, this is the second last head-to-head matchup between these two teams. Nuggets can even the score 1-1 head-to-head against the Sixers. It doesn't have to be any more complicated than that. But to add some stuff to it, Nuggets, they could get their 21st road win today, the 73rd day of the Gregorian, the 21st prime number, a day with 39 date numerology on the Gregorian, and 21 written out sums to 39. Nuggets would get their 41st win. Sixers would sit on 41 wins. Sixers would sit on 19 home wins with a loss in their 67th game for the season. 67, the 19th prime number. 19 written out sums to 41. And speaking of Sixers getting their 42nd win, Nuggets can go ahead and get their 42nd all-time head-to-head win against the Sixers to go with the 21st road win. 21 sums to 39, 39 sums to 142, 42 sums to 142 as well. So that would go in favor for the Nuggets. And Nuggets coach, he can get his 307th regular season win as a coach for the Nuggets. 307 is the 63rd prime number. And like I was saying, it could simply just be a revenge game. They can even the score 1-1 head-to-head against like an 11. And written out 11 sums to 63. So that would go in favor for the Nuggets as well. So there's kind of a glimpse at both sides for you. Let's go ahead and move on to the next game, Timberwolves and Spurs. Starting with the home team. If the home team was going to win this game, some things that I would say is that Timberwolves, they come into this game with 39 wins for the season. Today is a day with 39 date numerology on the Gregorian. They can sit on that 39, and they could pick up their 31st loss for the season. 31 is the 11th prime number. Spurs are looking to get some revenge here and become 1-1 head-to-head against the Timberwolves for the season, like in a number 11. This is the Timberwolves coach's 111th regular season game for his career. So you have this 1-1-1, you have this 31, which is the 11th prime. Spurs 1-1, like an 11. If you write out the number 11, you see it sums to 27 in 2 of the 4 base ciphers. And that could be a reason why Spurs might get their 27th win for the season, maybe, to go along with the 11 patterns. Spurs, they can get their 14th home win. They could become 14-21 at home for the season with the win. Today with 14 date numerology on the Gregorian, the 73rd day of the Gregorian year, the 21st prime number, 14-21. And I think that's about what I have. 1337. Let's see if that's a number property. 337. No. Number property there. I think that's about what I had for the Spurs side. If we would look towards the Timberwolves, if the Timberwolves are going to win this game, they have a few whole numbers that seem kind of funny if it were to go. If Timberwolves were to win, this is their 70th game for the season. They could become 40-30 for a season record, and they could become 2-0, like 20 head-to-head against the Spurs. Just some whole numbers that I don't know if they necessarily connect with each other, but it is kind of funny. 20, 30, 40. We're just missing 50 and 60 to reach the number 70. So some whole numbers. I don't know if it means anything or not. But Spurs, they can get their 43rd loss for the season. 43 is the 14th prime number today with 14-date numerology. If you actually write out the number 14, 14 sums to 40. And that could be why Timberwolves get their 40th win. On top of that, if they become 40-30, it too also looks like the number 43, the 14th prime number. The Spurs, they can go ahead and get their 22nd home loss for the season. 22, if you write it out. 22 sums to 39, and today has 39 date numerology on the Gregorian. And Timberwolves coach's record doesn't really help. He comes in tied 55-55, so the 56 doesn't really help either way. Timberwolves 37. Oh, there's a 60, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. But I was looking to see 37th all-time head-to-head, what would match up, if anything. I know if Timberwolves stayed on 30 losses and as they pick up their 37th all-time head-to-head win against Spurs, that might mean something, just because I know the number 30 sums to 37. It also sums to 35. Spurs 35th home game. They can get their 37th all-time head-to-head loss against the Wolves as they sit on 30 losses with the win, the Timberwolves. 18 30 sums to 35. 18 also sums to 73. I'm glad I punched that in. I forgot about that. 18 sums to 73. It's the 73rd day of the Gregorian. Potentially, we might see Timberwolves become 18-18 with the win. 18 summing to 73. So let's go ahead and move on to the last game here. Bucks and Jazz. The Bucks and the Jazz. We'll start with the home team. If the home team here is going to win, well, I mean, this one's kind of tough because either one of these two teams is going to pick up their 43rd win for this season. So any 43 connection you can make for either one of these, it kind of goes with a double-edged sword. It is a day with 14-date numerology, 43 the 14th prime number. But what could give Jazz the extra edge over the Bucks in the case of the 43 number is that if you write out the number 43, 43 written out sums to 59. And if Jazz get their 43rd win for the season, they would also pick up their 59th all-time head-to-head win against the Bucks to go with. So that 43 and 59 can pair up with each other. 43 sums to 59 versus Bucks just getting their 43rd win and there's no other 59 to pair it up with. That potentially could be the case. Another thing that would help the Jazz out is today is the 366th day of the Hebrew religious calendar. Jazz coach, he can get his 366th win regular season for his career. Could just be as simple as that. The 366, the 43 sums to 59. They get their 59th all-time head-to-head. What makes this even more interesting for the number 14 and 43s, what makes it more harder too, is that this is the 105th all-time head-to-head matchup between these two teams. 105 has number properties, 14th triangular number. So on the 14th of March, a day with 14-date numerology, the Bucks and Jazz are playing their 105th all-time game, which is the 14th triangular number. 14th triangular number. And either one of these teams is going to get their 43rd win for the season, the 14th prime number. So fascinating how that all magically comes together. This is the second and last head-to-head matchup between these two teams. Jazz is looking to sweep the Bucks 2-0 like 20. I didn't see any real 20 connection other than, yeah, I mean, I didn't really see any 20 connection. 20 sums to 26. 28, 107, 55. I mean, I guess the 23 date numerology on the Gregorian, 23 sums to 55 as well. Oh, one thing that would go against the Bucks, their coach, he can get his 289th regular season loss for his career. 289 has a square root of 17. 289 has a square root of 17. So 17 times 17, it sums to 289. Well, the Bucks coach can get his 289th loss regular season for his career, which has a square root of 17, as Jazz pick up their 59th all-time head-to-head win against the Bucks. 59 is the 17th prime number. And then, of course, we know 43 sums to 59. Jazz get their 43rd win for the season to go with. Their coach gets his 366th win regular season on the 366th day of the Hebrew. Today, leaving 18 left in the Hebrew year could be a reason why Bucks sit on 18 road wins with a loss. And we just found out that 18, or not found out, but I just got reminded that the number 18 written out sums to 73 today, the 73rd day of the Gregorian. So those would be some things that I would say towards Jazz. If the Bucks were going to win this game, it would kind of be the same thing because, like I said, the 43 goes either way for this side. So the 105th all-time game, the 14th triangular, 14th of March, 14th date numerology. It could be just Bucks getting their 43rd win, the 14th prime number. And it is a revenge game for the Bucks. This is the second and last head-to-head matchup. Bucks can become 1-1 head-to-head against the Jazz for the season, as the Jazz get their 11th home loss for the season to go with. Jazz coach, he can actually get his 257th loss regular season. 257 is the 55th prime number. Today does have 23 date numerology on the Gregorian, 23 sums to 55. But even more fascinating is that if the Jazz do lose this game and the Jazz coach does get his 257th loss, it would come on a day that I completely made up. Today is the 257th day of the Gregorian religious side of the calendar. This side of the calendar I completely made up, but at the same time, I modeled it after both sides of the Hebrew, because the Hebrew calendar has two different sides. The Gregorian only has one side. So I modeled the second side of the Gregorian kind of similar to the Hebrew calendar. Now we have four different sides, like the four-sided cross, like the four seasons in the year: spring, summer, fall, and winter. It also goes along with the four base ciphers for the calculator. But the side that I completely made up, it is the 257th day of the Gregorian religious. It would be funny if Jazz coach did get his 257th loss on this day. What a coinkydink. What else would help the Bucks? They would sit on 14 road losses. Speaking of 14, they can get their 43rd win for the season, the 14th prime, as they sit on 14 road losses to go with. They would get their 19th road win. They would become 19-14 on the road. And those two numbers are similar in ways. Not identical in all four, but both of them sum to 41, and both of them sum to the number 40. So they both have 40 and 41 in common. So they could become 19-14, 43rd win, the 14th prime. And then they would even the score 1-1 head-to-head against the Jazz, as Jazz get their 11th home loss. And then Jazz coach would get that 257 on the 257th day that I completely made up. And that would be both sides for you on these games. I really appreciate you guys watching. I really appreciate the support. Hopefully this helps. Hopefully this gives you some insight to these games. Thank you for everyone on my Patreon for continuing to request games. I apologize this past weekend I wasn't as productive and busy just because I was working my part-time job. I just didn't have the time. But I'm off 5 days this week, so it's a pretty light week. If you're watching this video and you are on my Patreon page, please let me know if you want me to do the NCAA games, the March Madness. I can do all the games, or we can just continue with the requests. I just do games that you're requesting of me. Just let me know either way. I know a few people have said a few things, but I'm still debating on if I want to do every single bracket game or not. I really just want to do games that you guys want me to do. And if you want me to do all the bracket games, then I'll do all the bracket games. If not, no big deal. But just keep those requests coming. Keep me busy. And I should have some more time this week, more pick preview videos, more games I can do, a little bit more leeway. I won't have to rush writing stuff out and things like that. won't have to stay up until like 3 a.m. typing stuff out to get it prepped for the next day. But I really appreciate you guys' support. Couldn't do it without you guys, and you guys are the best. I couldn't ask for, better support. You guys mean the world to me, and I really wish you guys the best of luck on your picks today. Hopefully you win all the money in the world, and I'll see you in the next video.